guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video I thought I'll do a 1 month update. So it's mainly for Elena, how we've been going, what's been happening in the first 1 month. So she actually turned 4 weeks exactly today, and she will be 1 month on Friday. So I just wanted to let you know how it's all been going. It has been a while since it feels like it's been a while since I made a video. It's been very full on and there's just so much to update you on, some positives, some negatives, but I am excited to share the journey with you and just so you know what's been happening in our lives. So as you all know, I ended up getting an emergency cesarean section at the end for my delivery. So the first night was a cluster feed night. Normally the cluster feed night happens the second night if it's a normal vaginal delivery. The reason being is that the baby is usually quite tired from the delivery, that they sleep all day and all night the first night, and then the second night is when they're awake and they're really hungry, and then they feed, which is cluster feeding, to bring you milk in. This happened actually in the first night. Just because it was a cesarean, she wasn't that tired, so she was just hungry and was trying to bring in my milk straight away. So that was fun. The way I got around it was that all I did was I literally had my top off and I was feeding her all day, and I was lying down while she was lying next to me and feeding that way, just so I can get a little bit of a rest. As you know, it is a really tough night if you've ever been through the cluster feed night, bringing in the milk. And I highly recommend, if you do go through it, or when you do it while you're still at the hospital, not when you go back home. So what I mean is that try to stay at the hospital for that night, just so the nurses can help you out. But if it's at home, especially if it's your second baby, or not your first baby, and you have other kids to look after, it could be very difficult to be able to wake up the next morning and still look after them. But if you're at the hospital, then you have help at night, you have help during the day with the nurses, as well as your family and friends if they are available. Also, due to the cesarean section, I was very lucky, and it's a very different experience from my first baby with Emily, because I've actually had a lot of help in the first month. Whereas with Emily, I had help only for the first week while I was at hospital, and then I was pretty much left on my own, and that was a bit difficult this time around because of the cesarean section. And I had Emily, and I couldn't really look after her by myself because I can't carry her, I can't drive, so I can't even just drop her off at daycare. I can't even just put her to sleep. I know she's at the age where she doesn't need to be carried, but there are some things that she needs to be carried for. For example, getting put in the car seat because she was still young, she can't reach the car, and putting her in the cot for her naps and her nighttime. So for the first 2 weeks I had Michael, so that was during the hospital week and then the first week at home, and that was a bit of an adjustment week. We're trying to figure out the new rhythm of our family, trying to see what works for us, what doesn't work for us. I mean, we're still figuring that out. I'm not going to say that we have figured it out, but obviously we have come a long way from the initial week, which we just did not really know what we should do, what we shouldn't be doing. Yeah, just that initial figure out. So we also upped Emily's daycare days, so she now does 4 mornings only till 12, so they're very short days, only half days, so she can play and get some energy out, and so she's not bored at home. Because I do realize that a lot of the time spent at home for me is just I'm breastfeeding, and that's a lot of sitting down, and I can't really play with her. I try to, but it's a bit hard. I try to get on the floor, but it's really hard multitask because she moves a lot. It's not that I can get her to sit next to me and play with the toy. She just wants to play, active play. So we've upped her days just so she's not watching TV all morning. I mean, she's definitely watching TV a lot more than she was before. If you're a mum, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You just gotta do what you gotta do. But yes, we've upped her daycare days, so that increases the pressure off me. And in the afternoon, that's when I have her back and she comes back for her nap, and then we play for the afternoon, and that's when I am by myself with the two of them. But it's not as bad as if I have them both. I don't want to say it's bad. It's not as much pressure as when I do have them both at the same time for the whole day. First week was a bit of a struggle because we couldn't figure out how to put her to sleep. We would just try. We didn't really have like a method of how to put her to sleep. We still don't have like a concrete method, but I feel like we're practicing and we're getting more familiar with how we put her to sleep. I am planning to do a night with us, with the newborn, how we put her to sleep, what a night with a newborn is like, with the sleep and the feeding and, you know, the whole shebang. But yeah, it was really hard to actually have like a method how to put her to sleep. So the struggle was that we always had to like tag team with her. She was always carried by one of us, so if I wanted to get dressed, Michael had to carry her. If he wanted to get dressed, I had to carry her. And yeah, so that was a bit of a struggle because you're always like preoccupied. You can't just put her somewhere and then do that. I mean, we tried obviously, but she still wanted like to be cuddled, which we wanted to as well. But you know, you still want some time that you are free and you don't really neither one of you has to do that. But on the bright side, we also had lots of family bonding because we spent the week by ourselves, and the sleep has been on the okay side. I can't complain because I don't think it's the worst at all. I've heard of like a lot worse, but at the same time it's like not fantastic, especially in the first week or so. She also had a lot of tummy issues in the first week. I want to say week 10 days. So she was obviously still getting used to the milk, digesting it, because she didn't have to do that before, and she was screaming lots after feeds, and she had a lot of gas, and you can tell, like you can hear her tummy gurgling a lot. And we did go through the second cluster feed, which is the first cluster feed after your milk comes in, so that's a week after, and those are a little bit hard. It was a hard night because she was constantly on the boob and crying, and all she wanted was the boob. And I stayed from like 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. and all she was doing was feeding, just alternating from one side to the other, and I ended up going to sleep at like 1. Say I went to sleep, I really struggled at that time, and then that's when I told Michael, and I woke him up, and he took her for a while I slept till like 3. He's just fantastic, and then she settled down after that. The third and fourth week, that's when my mom came and she took over from Michael. She came over to help, and that was the best thing that actually happened. She made the days a lot easier, and I actually got a few things done. There was a lot more I wanted to get done, but I feel like what I imagined was vastly different from reality. I thought, oh, like I have a full morning, you know, while Emily's at daycare, Mom can take care of Elena and I could get lots done. But man, I was wrong. By the time you wake up, you have your feed, and initially she was took about an hour to breastfeed each time, so that was an hour breastfeeding, and then I had breakfast and then get dressed, and then she needed to feed again, and then by the time I did something and we had to go pick up Emily, definitely was not as productive as I was hoping to be, but I still got a lot done. And because I struggled with the first week cluster feed, I was trying to prevent it. So what I tried this time around, so 2 days before she turned 3 weeks, and that is the second cluster feed, I pumped like there was no tomorrow. So I think I pumped equivalent of like 2 hours altogether, just to increase my milk supply. And I feel like pumping is the best way of increasing your supply. I had those lactation cookies, and they are fantastic and they taste good, and I have them a lot as like a midnight snack. But pumping, man, although it is time consuming and you know, it's fiddly and all that, but it is the best way to increase your milk. I'd like to say that it worked, but I will confirm it because there is another cluster feed coming out when she's about 6 weeks, so I'm planning on doing but the same thing probably on the Sunday, so Michael's here and he can help out looking after Emily, because you do have those pumps like attached to you, so it is a little bit hard to take care of a child and all that. Although I do have the bra, which makes it fantastic, it is a little bit tricky, so I'm planning on doing it, and then I will confirm whether it actually worked or not. And also the day that she turned 3 weeks, I was actually able to go out, so it was our 3-year anniversary, marriage anniversary. It was our 3-year anniversary on the Wednesday, but we ended up celebrating it on the Tuesday. So Emily was at daycare in the morning, and then Mum took care of Elena. I pumped for her and we went out, and it was really nice having some couple bonding time. Yes, also on that Tuesday, she was particularly sleepy, and we didn't really think much of it. We thought, you know, she just needed some time, like with the cluster features and like a growth spurt, and all that, but she was definitely sleepy on the Tuesday. And towards the end of the day, her feeding was not as great. She was kind of like suckling, like sipping, rather than like full-on feeds, and I could feel it, but I didn't think much of it at the time. Now nighttime, she was also not feeding that well. She was still having a little bit, but not full meals, if you like to call them, and she just wanted to be on me, like not feeding. But every time I tried to put her back in her bassinet, she would like do this little squeal, and again, I didn't think something was wrong. I was questioning it. I didn't think it was her normal behavior, but I was like, whatever, like it's fine. And I was kind of holding her while sitting up, and I know that's not safe, but that's what I did at the time because she just really wanted to be on me. And the next morning we woke up and it was about like 7:38, and I was giving her first feed, and I was trying to feed her, and she did feed as well, and not her normal feed, but she just felt really hot. And I told Mom, and Michael had gone to work at the time already, like, she feels really hot, I should really take her temperature. She was like, no, it's in your head, it's really not a thing. Where I took her temperature like with an thermometer, and it said 36.7. I was like, that's not right, like she feels really hot. Mom was like, yeah, it's fine, like temperature is all good. I was like, no, I'm gonna get the other digital thermometer, I'm gonna take it properly. So I went and got the other digital thermometer, and I took her temperature, the underarm, and it said 38.3. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is confirming what I'm observing basically. So anyway, so that's when I was like, okay, she has a temperature, we need to get to the doctors, like we need to get help. So I called up Plunkett line, and just to get whether I should go to the GP or go to the hospital. And of course she wanted to ask me like the standard questions, which I did not want to go through with it because I felt like we urgently needed to get help. So she said, oh, call the GP. If you can't get within the next hour, then go to the hospital. I tried to call the GP to get through to the nurse's line, but no one was answering. So I was like, okay, we're gonna take her to the hospital. So I called up Michael just to let him know everything's happening, and to let his parents know so they could come and like look after Emily, because I knew Mom would probably need to come with me, because I was like I was shaking, like I was not in the right state of mind to do all of this by myself. So I wanted them to come look after Emily, and my mom to come with me. Anyway, so I was like, okay, like I'll get Elena in the car, like in the car seat, but I was physically shaking. Like I was really worried. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna call the ambulance, like I can't wait. So I called up the ambulance. They were here in like no time, seriously, they were great. I called the info off of me, we went straight to the hospital. Like it was a process. I was trying to, so before that, what I missed is that I took a temperature 2 more times after that, and it said 38.1 and then 38.7. So I had kept on going up, and I tried to cool her down with like cool compressors. I took her onesie off, trying to like cool her down. And then Michael's parents came, and as soon as they came, the ambulance were here, like they were both here at the same time. The ambulance came, and we went to the hospital, and everything was just ready. They had communicated to the hospital everything is gone, and like everything that has happened. And so while we were there was the like emergency doctor. She was like doing all the checkups, and the pediatrician came, and he did his checkups basically, and at the time her temperature was 39.3 at the hospital. Decided to take her to the neonatal ward and put her in the NICU and take all the sorts of samples, so cerebral spinal fluid, blood, urine, and a chest x-ray, just to see what's happened. So if you guys watched my previous video, you would know I was group B streptococcus positive, so that has a risk of her developing meningitis. That's why I needed to get treated. So that's why they took the cerebral spinal fluid, just to see what it was. So they took all the samples, they gave her paracetamol, they put her on IV fluids, they put her on IV antibiotics just to get on top of everything. And then her temperature was going down, but then every time the paracetamol wore off, her temperature will go back up. So that was a concern, and it was definitely at the 39 mark for a while, and I was just like scared, going a little bit crazy. I was asking like the nurses, like I was worried something was gonna happen to her. I was worried she was gonna get like febrile convulsion. I was just like asking them like 500 billion questions, and I repeated the same questions to different nurses because I was just so worried. It was not a good situation to be in. But anyway, so that was the first day, and by the end of it, it started to go down. So even when it peaked, it went to 38 instead of 39. Yeah, so the first night was a very difficult night. I could not sleep, like actual sleepless night to say the least. She has like all IV fluid. She was still not feeling well. I was pumping regularly, like every 3 hours, just trying to keep up my supply. And we did give her a couple of bottles that she's still drinking, but not her usual amount. And the next day her temperature was still high, but by the end of it, it was gone down to like 37, and it stayed low, and she was getting paracetamol like less often. Like I know it's every 4 to 6 hours, and we did not exceed that, but she didn't need it every like 6 hours, like at the 6 hour mark. So eventually her temperature stabilized, and she finished all her antibiotics, and the next morning they gave us like the thumbs up that we are good to go. She did develop a bit of a rash on her chest, but they're saying this is most likely either due to the virus that she most likely had, because everything came back negative from all those tests, so it's not bacterial, so they think it's viral, or it's a reaction to the antibiotics. So we just have to be a bit careful next time when she's getting antibiotics, because she could be allergic to something. The midwife also came yesterday just to check up on her and do the weekly weigh-in, and thank goodness she still gained weight despite of what happened. Less than the normal, but she did gain weight. That was my worry, that she was just going to lose weight rapidly because she wasn't really feeding. We are doing much better now, and we're on the other side, and I'm just so happy we got through it. It did change our plans because we were planning on going to visit my famil's weekend, but obviously we couldn't go because she had just come out of hospital. Lily has been great with her little sister. She just loves her, gives her lots and lots of kisses, like all the time, walking back and forth, just like lots of kisses. She has really handled this change like extremely well, and I'm so proud of her. She's just such a good daughter, older sister, like just human being in general. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like, because it really supports my channel, and please subscribe because I upload new videos every week. And please let me know in the comments down below what other videos you'd like to see, and click that notification box just to know when I am uploading a new video. And I'll see you next time. Bye.